Oh, what a pleasant song for a pleasant show. Happy Lonely Friday, everybody. Welcome to the loneliest night of the week. Welcome to the loneliest name in late night, the loneliest show on the internet. Welcome to Sam Roberts Now. I'm glad that you're all here. I'm glad that we can all be lonely together. I see Lida Kane. Oh, I get it. On a rainy Cleveland day, look, the rainy days are the best days to be lonely. But then again, is there really any day that it's not a great day to be lonely? I'll tell you what the best day to be lonely is. Friday. Welcome. Here we are Friday night once again. Sam Roberts Now here at youtube.com/notsam. If you're not already, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn the bell on. Make sure you hit like. I know not all of you have hit like because I see how many are watching and I see how many likes are hit. So I know it hasn't been all of you and you really don't have any excuse because I promise you it's going to be a great show. It's Friday the 13th. Some people take Friday the 13th as a bad omen. Not here. We all know we love Friday the 13th. We've gone over Friday the 13th movies. It's just, it's one of those things that works. I don't know. Maybe when people's expectations are low, we rise. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but Friday the 13th is a good omen for Sam Roberts. Now, I mean, I guess it's from the same school of thought as a lot of people are like, oh, lonely. Being lonely, that sounds like the worst thing in the world. I don't think so. Mike D, ask Lonely Virgil. Exactly. He made a whole living off of it. That and meat sauce. They've made Virgil into 100-air. Well, in case you couldn't guess, hot dog is not here. You thought I was going to swipe him on. No hot dog today, but that's okay because we've got a lot of stuff to get into and a lot of stuff to unpack. Of course, this wasn't just any normal Friday the 13th. I do always love, though, on the Apple movies, which, by the way, thank you to everybody for the heads up and the shout out. You know, I've been complaining about it on SiriusXM about the fact that I would love to see, what's it called? Nobody, whatever the Bob Odenkirk movie is where he's John Wick. I've been waiting to see that for a long time, but you're just not going to catch me paying $19.99 for a movie on Apple. And I'll tell you why. It's not because it's not worth it. I get a lot more than $20 viewing out of these movies that I buy on Apple TV. I watch them over and over again. I own them. But every movie that I've ever paid $19.99 for, it's always the first movie I see for cheaper. $14.99, $9.99. And nothing makes me feel like more of an asshole than seeing a movie that I paid $20 for on sale for $12.99. However, you guys heard me. You heard me complaining about it. You alerted me. Sam, $12.99. The movie is $12.99. I have purchased it. That's the update. That's the spoiler for you because I'm sure we'll talk about it on Monday on SiriusXM. I have purchased it. I haven't seen it yet. I will. There's been too much other stuff for me to watch. But that was already something good. Lots of good feedback on everything I've been doing. I appreciate everybody that tuned in to Sirius, not only all week, being back in studio all week, but of course, riding solo on Thursday morning. I appreciate all you guys rolling with me on that and listening to my plight of being scammed in the CVS parking lot. I see, who was it? James Malaspino got my pre-order for that sweet-ass retro ring set. Good grief, that thing is sweet. I'm so glad that this thing was picking up all day, picking up buzz all day. And maybe it's because I wouldn't stop tweeting about it. But it was a great day to be a stupid little wrestling toy nerd. Paradise. They announced at Comic-Con that they were going to make a ring for toys that looks like how everything looked like in 1993 when I was 10 years old. It's literally created for people like me, myself, and people in my generation. And it's a crowdfunding thing. So it costs $250. It comes with 2 figures, and it comes with the entryway and the ring and everything. I mean, I geek out over stuff like this. This is my bread and butter. From the time I'm a kid throughout. No dead time. Nothing. It's just this is what I geek out over. One of the things I geek out over. But nobody was backing it. You know, it said it's $250 for the pre-order. But unless it sells 5,000 units, they're not going to make it. Now, they'll refund your money, if they don't get the 5,000 pre-orders, but that's how they know if there's interest or not. And then there's like, other levels that you have to hit and everything. And so I'm stressing out. I'm not going to lie, because they announced it. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, I've been waiting all my life for something like this. And like, I don't know, 400 people agreed with me. It was bad. It was low. It was a low number of people. And I was like, oh no, I was a fool. Why would I like, it was just me. But I didn't realize, number one, people were waiting for them to add another action figure to this thing to sweeten the pot a little bit. And number two, they were waiting till the last minute, because that's what they did. Thousands of pre-orders came in today. And I was just watching this thing go from, I don't know if it's actually going to hit the 5,000 it needs to be produced, to now, I've been refreshing it literally all day. We're about to hit, and we probably will tonight while we're being lonely, we're about to hit on 7,500 pre-orders. I think we're going to get to 8,000. We've already unlocked the extra Doink figure. We're going to get the ring skirts, and I'm just going to be the happiest little nerd that you've ever seen in your life. Maybe I'll unbox it. Maybe I'll do that over on the Notsam Wrestling YouTube channel, which, if you're enjoying me talking about this right now, you probably are that section of the audience that would enjoy the stuff going on the Notsam Wrestling YouTube channel. But there's a lot of stuff to be happy about right now. There's so much good shit on TV. There's so much good to watch. I don't need just options. I don't need, quantity is good, but if it's not quality, doesn't work for me, Chief. However, we got some quality, folks. The Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad hit theaters and HBO Max last weekend. I watched it last weekend. Idris Elba, your big star. Margot Robbie back as Harley Quinn. John Cena as the Peacemaker. Now, they're like, oh, John Cena's going to be playing Peacemaker. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I don't know who any of these superheroes are. I don't know what any of this is about. I don't even like superheroes. I'm like, I will watch the movie. I didn't even pay to see it. I didn't go to see it in the theater. It's on for free on my TV. They got it on HBO Max. I was like, yeah, I will watch it on HBO Max because I want to support my dog, John Cena. And that's how I refer to him. I'm like, oh, there's my dog, John Cena. He's at SummerSlam. He's in the Suicide Squad. And so that's what I did. And I like James Gunn, too. I like James Gunn for a couple of reasons. Number one is tweets. I'm just kidding. Come on, that's ridiculous. I like James Gunn, not only because he's good at those Guardians of the Galaxy movies, because I don't like superhero movies. Not only am I not a fan of superhero movies, I do find them annoying. I think for the most part, and I know Guardians of the Galaxy is one, but most of the Marvel movies are the exact same movie over and over again. I think they take themselves too seriously more often than not. I hate that everybody is so quirky and quick-witted. Every superhero and every superhero sidekick and all of their friends, and even some of the villains, are just so quirky and quick-witted. It just screams writer's room. Like, I liked that first Iron Man movie, but I feel like they realized that something worked in that first Iron Man movie. And they were like, we'll just do this every single time. And that's what they're doing now. And I'm like, no, I was okay with it when Iron Man did it the one time, but now it's just like everything. And they do that thing. Like, they're all like, But Guardians of the Galaxy I was kind of into. Because I felt like, while it was a little quirky and quick-witted for my taste, Chris Pratt had a lot of one-liners. It didn't take itself that seriously. And it was interesting. And that was because James Gunn was behind these Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And I always like James Gunn because he came from the world of Troma. He came from my guy Lloyd Kaufman. He came from that space. And he feels authentic, Like, James Gunn directs and writes movies the way you would expect somebody who came from that world of Troma films, like that kind of exploitation-y era, not era, but exploitation-y, genre-y movie world. Like, if you gave that person $1 billion to make a movie, these are the kind of movies he would make. He'd be like, yeah, we're going to do a ridiculous superhero movie, but it should really be R-rated, don't you think? And I guess sounds like a bad idea. And he's like, okay, that's what we'll do then. And I'm like, great. I love it. So I turned on Suicide Squad with very low expectations, and I really enjoyed it. I felt like the action was good. I found myself chuckling more than once. I liked that the Peacemaker, the John Cena character, was a very sort of like a colonial version of Captain America. Like maybe not colonial. Yeah, colonial is probably right. He's making colonies. Yeah, like a colonial version of Captain America, where he's like, I'm here to fight for freedom, no matter how many men, women, and babies I have to kill to get there. And you're like, I see what you're doing there. That's funny. That's funny. That's cute. But like I said, I didn't know any of the superheroes. I felt like the movie did not take itself seriously at all, which it shouldn't. Like, I loved that they were just like, oh, and we're going to have like a shark as a character, who I guess was mumbling sounds that were played by Sylvester Stallone, which is funny. But they're like, yeah, we'll just have a big a big bulky, brutish shark person thing. And it's like, oh, well, what's the story arc of the shark? How are people going to take it seriously? It likes to eat people. It's a shark with big muscular arms. You're like, okay. And I like that because it feels authentic. It feels like we're not trying to turn this into something that it isn't. I really enjoyed it. I thought Idris Elba did great. I mean, when does Idris Elba not do great? I thought Idris Elba did great. I thought the whole thing, the story was fun. It was fun. I had a good time watching it. That's what it was. I had a good time with it. I wasn't sitting there overthinking stuff. I wasn't sitting there going like, the subtext of this. I just had fun watching it, and it felt like it was fun to make, and it was cool. And in the back of my head, I also thought it was baller ass that James Gunn is doing this ensemble superhero movie for DC while he's working on ensemble superhero movies for Marvel, because Marvel tried to fire him, but then they decided that they couldn't, but then he had already taken the job with DC. So I thought that was cool. But then I start reading these articles, and I see that they go, Suicide Squad made $26.5 million over the weekend. I was like, all right. And they were like, it's a flop. Suicide Squad bombs. It's a flop. It only made $26.5 million. I read one thing that I was like, what do you guys just need to fill articles? It said, Suicide Squad flop, making only $26.5 million. Industry experts expected it in the neighborhood of $30 million. I'm like, $26.5 million is in the neighborhood of $30 million. 26.5 is not a different continent than 30. 26.5 is the same cul-de-sac as 30. Not the next door neighbor, but certainly the same cul-de-sac. Your kids, 30's kids, are riding bicycles with 26.5's kids. It is this close. But even so, I get what they're saying. They're like, this movie cost like $150 million to make, and it only made back 30 its opening weekend. Yeah, this is not good. And I'm sitting there going, what did you expect? There's a few things at play here. Number one, and this is what we talked about with Scarlett Johansson last week, suing Disney for the $50 million because they released her movie, the Marvel movie that I didn't watch, on Disney Plus as well as in theaters. Now, at least on Disney Plus, it was an extra $30 to watch this movie, which I would think would encourage more people to go to the theater than to have to pay an additional $30 just to watch it on a streaming service that they're already paying for. But I'm sure there were a lot of people that were like, well, I could go to the theater, or for $30, I could just stay on my couch. Here's $30. Whatever I can pay you so that I don't have to move. I'm sure that happens a lot. It's probably a pretty sound business decision. But still, I guess she doesn't make back end on the $30 million and whatever. We talked about it last week. But Warner Brothers put all these movies out for free on HBO Max. So if you're subscribing to HBO Max, you just get these movies. They just show up. Space Jam just showed up. And people still say they suck. That's what drives me crazy. They're like, would you like this movie for free? Yeah, I'll check it out for free. Oh, it sucked. It's not as good as the original Space Jam. How old were you when the original Space Jam came out? I was 10. Oh, cool. So that makes you what? 38 now? Yeah. Sucks now. Oh, okay. Wow, I can't believe it. You at 40 didn't like it as much as you at 10. Shocking. But they put all these movies. Mortal Kombat came out. I loved Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat came out. Space Jam came out. The Conjuring 3 came out. But all of it came out on HBO Max, and it's just there for free. And so it's like, yeah, I guess I'll watch it. Why not? Like, I wouldn't have paid 30 extra bucks to watch The Suicide Squad. And I don't know if I would have made it out to a theater. I still haven't made it out to a theater since movies started coming back. I didn't even watch my man's John Cena in Fast and Furious. It's tough. But Suicide Squad, there's a couple of things going on. Number one, it's an R-rated movie. So you, like, generally, like, let's be honest, I'm sure if you'd gone to a movie theater, you would have seen, like, even if you went to the midnight showing, there's always one obnoxious family that thinks it's appropriate to bring their 2-year-old to the R-rated midnight showing of a movie. I'm like, look, you had a kid. I understand you want to see this movie. How, like, that both mom and dad both needed to see this movie so bad. One of them couldn't sit home while the baby slept, like babies are supposed to do at midnight. They both wanted to see this movie so badly that they were like, oh, let's just totally fuck up the kid's sleep schedule and give them no sense of discipline. We'll bring them to the movie theater. That's good. That's a real good choice. I'm glad you did that. Was the movie good? Cool. You never regret this. So you do have that, but not in big numbers, right? Like, Marvel movies are going to have a bunch of kids going to see them, as well as adults. This DC movie, when it's R-rated, you're building a wall, right? So that certain age groups aren't going to go see this movie. So right there, you've got a problem. Number two, nobody knows who any of these superheroes are. It's not like Superman movie. It's not a Batman movie. It's not even Doctor Strange movie. Nobody knows who any of these superheroes are. And I know some of you might be like, well, actually, and I get it. You're like, what about Harley Quinn? This is like the 4th Harley Quinn movie. So that's the third. The second thing is nobody knows who these superheroes are. Third thing is the one superhero that they do know is Harley Quinn. And this is the 100th Harley Quinn movie with different directors. You know what universe it's in anymore. Nobody knows what universe this is in anymore. Nobody knows if this is like, okay, is the first Suicide Squad and the Harley Quinn movie and this one, all the movies where Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. All the movies designed to further the cosplay industry. I'm not complaining about it. Is it all the same universe? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Do I need more backstory? She's still dating the Joker. Is Jared Leto in this one? And that brings me to the fourth point, is that the original Suicide Squad that only came out a few years ago sucked. It was terrible. The Suicide Squad has a complete uphill battle. Nobody knows the superheroes. It's rated R. Nobody's sure which number Harley Quinn movie this is. And the first Suicide Squad movie sucked. Like, the brand does not have equity in it. If somebody was like, you want to see Suicide Squad? I'd be like, no, I don't want to see Suicide Squad. I mean, the Suicide Squad. All right. As long as John Cena's in it, I'll check it out, I suppose. And it turns out this is great. And they did a very good job in the very beginning of the movie. So you're like, this is a reboot for all intents and purposes. But technically, it's a sequel. You know how we try to map out timelines on the show sometimes with movies? Technically, it's a sequel because the first movie is acknowledged and the characters are acknowledged. So, like, all these characters you see here are not different actors playing the same random superheroes from the first Suicide Squad movie. None of those I don't think these are the same superheroes. I don't think Idris Elba is supposed to be Will Smith, right? But they do a good job of, like, they figure out in the very beginning how to make this have nothing to do with the original Suicide Squad. And they make it so that they can logically, from a story perspective, start from scratch. And they do a great job. But I'm sitting here going, like, can you imagine how frustrating it is when, honestly, $26.5 million on a weekend where it's still the pandemic, I guess, is over, but not the Delta pandemic. Delta's back. We were in a sweet spot. People are like, "Whoa, Mortal Kombat did more money, or Fast and Furious did more money, or whatever." That was the sweet spot. Number one, they weren't rated R. I don't think Mortal Kombat might have been rated R. I don't know. It was very violent. But also, Sub-Zero. I don't think Liu Kang was even in it. Was the Liu Kang in it? Liu Kang might have been in it. Yeah, Liu Kang was in it. Liu Kang. Scorpion. Get over here. And the original Mortal Kombat movie is beloved. And all the video games are beloved. Right? This one, the franchise sucks except for this movie. Nobody knows the superheroes. Harley Quinn thing. And it's Delta weekend. We outside isn't even a thing anymore. That's not a thing that people do anymore. So what do you expect, huh? What do you expect? I don't buy it. I thought it was a super fun movie. I thought it was a good time. And I don't see $26.5 million as any sort of failure. Like, I couldn't imagine their expectation was much higher than that. How are you going to make more money than that? At this day, right now, how are you going to do that? That's impossible. It wouldn't happen. I'll tell you, and I see you, by the way, James Malaspino. You know what we do. We make movies. By Vince McMahon, Beyond the Mat. It's just the most quotable documentary that's ever existed. You know what else is good? Malice at the Palace. This is another movie that's just on your TV. It's just there. I guess Netflix is doing a series of sports documentaries called Untold. And I love a good sports documentary. Because, see, here's the thing about sports and wrestling. People are like, well, wrestling's not as good because the results are predetermined. And I'm like, yeah, but I know the results are predetermined. Sports is not as good because the storytelling is shit in sports. Like, the storytelling in baseball is garbage. To get any kind of emotional reaction, they had to go to a movie set. They had to go and play the game on a movie set to try to get people to feel something. Okay? Football, garbage. Storytelling is garbage. In football, in basketball, in baseball. Hockey, there hasn't been a good story since Kurt Russell led the Americans to defeating the Russians. That's like 1984. They're still making movies about it. It's terrible storytelling in hockey. Wrestling, you got stories every week. Now, sports documentaries are great because what sports documentaries do is they take a story that's really like, it takes years of block building to finally formulate this great story. And then you got about an hour. You got about an hour to an hour and 15. After several years of trotting along, you got about an hour and 15 worth of story to tell. And usually that story's pretty damn good if you can hang in long enough. Or you just watch the doc. And that's what I did for Malice at the Palace. So Malice at the Palace was in the early 2000s. It was the Indiana Pacers there, Meta World Peace over here, Ron Artest and the gang. And it was the incident where they were at the Palace at Auburn Hills in Michigan. They were playing the Detroit Pistons. And they got into a huge fight. These are the clips that are like iconic, where members of the Pacers are in the audience punching people across the face. And, a riot, a full-on riot starts. Fans are on the court. The game stops. Athletes got suspended. It was amazing. And it was a damn good thing to do a story about. And they go back and they're telling this story, and they're basically telling the story of the team and how the team kind of went out of their way to create. So Reggie Miller was playing for Indiana. And it was like, they're like, how do we win a championship? How do we reformat the team? And they're like, we got to go young. We got to have a youth movement come in and just shake the whole thing up with Reggie Miller still there. Reggie Miller, by the way, He's in this Malice at the Palace. Class act through and through. This guy, he's in a suit. He just comes across as a trustworthy guy. If this guy were selling cars, I would buy too. I trust him. I trust him with my firstborn. He's a classy individual, Reggie Miller. And he had to go through all this. The poor guy. But they got railroaded, the Pacers did. All these basketball players, I think, got railroaded. Because what happens is they basically go really young and they build a super aggressive team. They build a team around Jermaine O'Neal, Ron Artest, who would go on to be named Meta World Peace, and Steven Jackson. And by the way, there is a scene in the documentary where they show like a montage of newscasters and like, opinion people shows or whatever, making fun of Meta World Peace as a name. Like a table full of news people going like, how stupid is that? Meta World Peace, that's not even a real name. And it's like, it is cheeseball because they wouldn't say it to his face. But at the same time, it doesn't age the same way like the Britney Spears stuff does. It felt like they were going for a moment there where when Britney Spears, where they were like showing all the people who made fun of Britney Spears, or when they go back to old Monica Lewinsky clips and they show like the jokes that the late night hosts were making about Monica Lewinsky and basically just calling her a slut and a whore and being like, how great is our president, by the way? Just really awful stuff that they were doing to Monica Lewinsky and, the weird foreign journalists being like, so Britney, first of all, what's it like to be 16? Second of all, let's talk about your breasts for a while. Just really weird, creepy stuff that you're like, I can't believe I didn't notice when it was happening that this person was going through this. But in hindsight, when you see people making fun of him for naming himself Meta World Peace, it doesn't make you go, oh, I can't believe we made fun of him for that. It's like, yeah, there's still part of you that you hear this whole story. You hear all the trouble that he went through. It's now 2021, and you're still like, yeah, why the hell would you go and name yourself Meta World Peace? Doesn't make any sense. Like, so that to me didn't quite land. It's like, does he need to get made fun of on the TV? I guess not, but what do you think is going to happen when you name yourself Meta World Peace? But I love the guy. I'm a fan of his. I thought he came off well in the movie. He's dancing to his own drummer. He's on his own path. He's not there to listen to a whole bunch of other people. He's doing his own thing, and I don't mind that. I like that. So they build this team around Steven Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal, Ron Artest, and they're like a really aggressive team. Like all these players are super aggressive, in people's faces, like, ready to fuck someone up. And that's kind of foreshadowing where we end up. So they go to Detroit now, and they're looking like they're building a championship season, right? They're doing really, really well. And they go to Detroit to play against the Pistons. They're beating the Pistons. And I guess they told Artest, hey, man, we're up far enough. So if you want to start getting your fouls, go ahead. I don't know if that's true. I think one of the talking heads said it. And Ron Artest was like, fuck yeah. And he forearms this guy in the back of the head. I swear, I was like, what? He just like literally, he just forearmed him right in the back of the head. And I was like, Jesus Christ. I mean, I know they're athletes. I know they should be able to put up with some stuff, but I don't know. I didn't sign up to basketball to take forearm shots to the back of the head from Ron Artest. I mean, look at the body on this guy, huh? Look at those shoulders. Look at that bicep. Look at the pectoral, the way it comes down. This is a strong man. Forearming people in the back of the head, that'd suck. So whatever. He forearms this guy in the back of the head. And they start jaw-jacking a little bit. And it's really funny because when the players are talking about this like jaw-jacking and they shove each other a little bit on the court, they're basically saying it's fake. They're like, the fans don't know that basketball is fake. They're sitting there. I mean, it's like you're listening to wrestlers talk about what they do. A lot of the fans don't know we're actually friends, and this is just part of the show. This is just part of the game, blah, blah, blah. But they're basically saying basketball fights are fake, which, it's interesting that all the sports fans that are like, Sam, don't you know wrestling's fake? Well, I just watched a documentary, and it turns out basketball is fake, too. So do you enjoy it still? Okay, then. Don't give me a hard time. But they're over there, and they're jaw-jacking and whatever, and the one guy that Ron Artest hit in the back of the head with his forearm throws his headband at him. It takes off his headband, he throws it at him. It's like, whoa, threw his headband. But again, the players, when they're doing their talking heads, are like, yeah, that's kind of fake, though. It's basketball. Ron Artest lays down on the scoring table, like just to be a dick. He just lays down like, I couldn't be less concerned. He's laying flat. Boom. A fan takes his beer and hurls it. And all the players are describing it. They're going like, we saw it flinging through the air and blah, blah, blah. Looked like it was going in slow motion. And they got a ton of footage for this doc, which was great because the NBA apparently has not shared a lot of this footage because it's really an embarrassing situation for the NBA. I don't know why a lot of these sports organizations think that they're to be held at this high standard. I don't know anybody that has these like moral expectations from sports leagues. I don't know anybody that's like, oh, I don't know. I mean, we're just good, clean, wholesome fun and things got out of hand. Everybody that I know, when they watch sports and things get out of hand, they're like, finally, this is exactly why I was watching this. This is what I've been waiting for the whole time. But regardless, it's almost like the coaches and the teams and the athletes, they conduct themselves one way, and then the people in charge of the league have to act like, well, the league means more than that. The brand of the NBA does not mean fighting on the court. So he's laying down on the table. The guy throws his beer. The beer lands right on his face. I mean, great shot from the guy that threw the beer. And honestly, so far, I got no problem with it. I don't care when a guy throws a beer. A security guard should get him and throw him out of the building. But, whatever. When one of the players is acting like a heel, the guy throws a beer at him because he's a fan of the Pistons, and, Ron Artest is being a jerk. I don't think that the guy who threw the beer is a dirtbag. I don't think Ron Artest is a dirtbag for yucking it up. I think so far we're good. If the security guard sees the guy throwing the beer, then yeah, throw him out of the building. Like, the rules are the rules. You can't throw things onto the court. But realistically, it's like, oh, I can't believe, that's the other thing you hear. I can't believe he threw a beer at the, come on, you can't believe? So far, everything's cool, except Ron Artest, I mean, his reaction time was ungodly. It was amazing. The second the beer landed on his face, he got right up off the table, jumped into the crowd, and tracked down the guy in like the 11th row who threw the beer at him so he could grab him. He grabs him. People start surrounding him because now, this player from the opposing team is in the crowd, and now it's not a show anymore. Things got real. So one of his other teammates comes into the crowd. I guess somebody swings at Ron Artest. The guy the Ron Artest teammate swings at the fan, and they get separated or whatever, and whatever. They're back on the court, and it's chaos, but it is what it is. And I'm sitting there going, like, if that's where it ends, I'm like, Ron Artest is kind of an ass for going into the crowd. You don't go into the crowd. If you know who did it, you tell security, that guy just threw a beer at me, throw him out. I'm okay with that. But, to get in the crowd, and it's a little, ridiculous. But then this is where it gets really ridiculous. So the reason that the Pacers got in so much trouble, because a bunch of them got suspensions for, dozens of games, 30 games or whatever, for throwing fists, because fans started coming on the court and fighting with the players. The Pistons, by this point, are gone. The Pacers are still on the court, and fans start leaving the seats, going on the court. It's really actually funny. The way it started was this one fan walks onto the court, and, he doesn't have an army behind him. And Ron Artest turns around, and it's like, well, I mean, it's one thing when Ron Artest jumped into the crowd. It's like, this is highly irregular and inappropriate. But when a fan is on the court confronting a player, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? And Ron Artest is looking at him like, what are you trying to do? And it's like this short, kind of pudgy guy. And he starts, sizing him up, bowing up a little bit. He gets his chest all big. It's like, the fuck are you doing? And then one of Ron Artest's teammates just runs over and boom, punches him right in the face. And the guy's like on the dock and he's like, it was a bit of a sucker punch. I don't think it was legit. It was a little bit of a sucker punch. I'm like, yeah, this elite athlete from the NBA, he probably needed a sucker punch. You, the chubby, drunk basketball fan. Yeah, you probably would have gotten the best of him. I think definitely. And then, like, fans start coming onto the court and, like, fights start breaking out on the court. And the cops have to come and everything, and there's not enough police officers there because they don't expect the fans to come onto the court and start fighting the players. And they start getting pulled away. But, like, the police officers start, like, pushing away the NBA players. Like, they start, and you know, I'm sitting there watching this going like, well, the officers are from Detroit, and this is the opposing team to the Pistons. And I know that that's really stupid, but people take their sports loyalties to a stupid degree. Like you saw, like at one point, Reggie Miller comes out, who, by the way, is just a class act. Through and through. He's wearing a suit, for God's sake. He comes onto the court. He's wearing a suit. He's a legend. NBA legend. Still playing, by the way. Not retired. He walks onto the court to try to, you know, help his teammates. And this officer grabs him by the arm like he's some fan and tries to pull him off. And like Reggie Miller wants to treat everybody with respect, but he's got this look on his face. Like, are you really going to make me tell you who the fuck I am right now? I'm Reggie Miller, for God's sake. What are you doing? One of the cops is like showing his mace can to Ron Artest, and it's like, this is the basketball court. These are the basketball players. Why are you trying to stop the basketball players? The fans are the ones that came onto the court. Those are the ones you should be stopping. I mean, I was looking at this going like, okay, I see what happened here. And I don't know why the NBA sat there and blamed the team for this, you know? Punish Ron Artest and the one other guy for jumping into the crowd. Yeah, not for 30 games. For like 3 games. But I think that there should be a rule in all sports that if a member of the audience gets onto the court or onto the field, then the athlete who performs on that court or field can beat the shit out of him. Why not? Of course. It is a perceived threat regardless. If you're an athlete and you're playing your game of choice and a fan is crazy enough to get onto the court and like be like, yo, you want to fight right now? I'd go, my life's in danger here. You're going to have to back up for a second while I pummel this guy within an inch of his life. I think that when fans are on the court, players of any game should be able to beat them up. I think if a flasher runs onto the field in the middle of the baseball game, if the third baseman wants to, he can leave his position, and if he catches the flasher, beat the shit out of him. If somebody runs onto the ice rink in the middle of a hockey game, the goalie should be able to take his skate off and start carving the guy up. There's no way you could tell. That's their domain now. You've now entered the athlete's domain. So the athlete should be able to do whatever he deems appropriate. You know, they made this whole thing seem like these Indiana Pacers players were really, I mean, this is out of line. I don't know where these guys come from. This is terrible what they're doing. And then they showed all the news clips where like they were going, something has to be done about these thugs. Oh, people love using that thugs word. Whenever they can get away with saying thugs, well, that's how a thug behaves. People love saying thug. You know what they're saying. People love saying it. They love getting that opportunity. It's disgusting. Because you know what it is. But they're doing that. The NBA and these thugs. And it's like, what? If a guy shows up in your office, and he's just like a dude. Like, honestly, if somebody shows up into SiriusXM and goes, hey, Sam, I want to talk to you about something. If I have the physical ability to, I'm not saying I do, but if I had the physical ability to, I should be able to kick the shit out of him. I mean, I should, like, legally speaking. I can't say if I actually would be able to. But legally speaking, I should absolutely be able to. If somebody walks into your house, take out a baseball bat and beat them within an inch of their life, that should be fine. And not if you invite them, like a vampire. Or even if you know them, don't beat them within an inch of their life with a baseball bat. But if they're a stranger, you beat them down. I think that's fine. But especially if you're like an athlete on the court and you're a public figure, yeah, kick the shit out of them. And then poor Reggie Miller doesn't get to win a championship with his team because he ends up retiring at the end of that season. He's like, I don't want anything to do with any of this anymore. This is ridiculous. There's too much going on. All the guys on the team don't get to they all end up separating and splitting up, going on to different spots. Ron Artest ended up winning a championship with the Lakers, but the whole time he was there, it was like, he was going, I felt like I let my team down. He felt bad about it. So I don't know, man. It's a really, really interesting documentary, but I do feel like the Pacers got railroaded with all the... No, yeah, you shouldn't be treating fans like that. They're not fans once they get on the court. Once they get on the court, they're chum. They're bait. Dave C. Sammy is turning into Anthony. I think it's probably the reverse. Let me see. Should we do... Let's go into the Super Chats right now. And maybe if there's time after, we'll still do some of these clips from F-Boy Island. Although I don't know if anybody's watching that show. Not Sam Lehman. There's only one rule here on Sam Roberts Now. Every Super Chat gets read. Not Sam Lehman. Here's a donation to the Action Figure Fund. The interview with the Mattel guy convinced me to back the project. Very, very good. I appreciate these Super Chats. They're going right to buying another one of those rings, which, by the way, let's all check together. We've got refresh, 7,600. All we got to do is get to 8,000. Bryce Holt. E-Rock is comic book guy from The Simpsons. Changed my mind. I don't know. I don't know if E-Rock has the knowledge that comic book guy does. Unless comic book guy is faking it. Not to say E-Rock is faking anything, but unless comic book guy doesn't have all the knowledge that he says he does, I don't know if E-Rock is as much of a comic book expert. However, the grumpy demeanor, yes, I see it. Absolutely. Sam Banks, I'm going to rock my Not Sam Illinois license plate proudly in about 20 days. I'm very, very impressed. I saw it. Gil Rodriguez, I appreciate you. Jason, some guy. I'm in the same boat as your lame wrestling ring. I paid $300 for a lame Hasbro X-Men figure based purely on 90s nostalgia during the depths of the pandemic. That's been my favorite part, is watching people, and I know that people who don't even actively collect wrestling figures get swept up in the nostalgia of the whole thing. Richard Bird, it was fun seeing you on Quizzlemania. Be cool if you had Adam on your podcast. I would absolutely have Adam on. Parts Fun Known is the YouTube channel. I did Quizzlemania, which is a wrestling quiz show, and it ended up being about 2 hours of me bickering with recording artist Wale. I saw some people in the comments were like, I don't think Sam's going to come back after the way Wale was going after him. And I wanted to be like, do you know who's gone after me? Do you know the degrees of verbal abuse I've had to put up with? Wale's going to have to do a lot better than that. Gil Rodriguez, Mary Jean said, this is for you. I appreciate that. Dragon Reborn, Miro about to MDK Fuego, or Fujio. Yeah, I was watching it. I was watching it with the sound off. Rob Thompson, Bob Odenkirk movie was worth the rental. We'll buy now. See, I never do that either. I never want to rent something and then buy it. I just buy it flat out. Bummed about that dude who was shot outside a shoe palace, and seeing the dude get shot is unsettling. Grab some pollens and a flak jacket. Well, I'll tell you, I didn't do well with the Travis Scott lows today. Hopefully I'll get those pollen ones. I did not do well. Gil Rodriguez again. Mary Jean's PayPal is down, so here is her tip. I wonder, what is Mary Jean like on Camp Soda right now, getting you to give me all of your money? Because if that's true, I appreciate her. Gil Rodriguez, Mary Jean is R-rated. Gil, I think Mary Jean found somebody with you. Leche's Toy Box. Was awesome seeing you on Quizlemania. Have Adam on the show one day. Thank you very much, Leche. Gil Rodriguez, appreciate you. Not Sam Flagdirt, the guy who ran on the court was like Eastside Dave going after Master Poe. Yeah, like, not equipped for this. What are you doing? What do you think is going to happen here? Reed Rothschild, in light of your beta actions this week, are you planning on growing your hair out to signal you're a beta Sammy Beta farts? For a one-line super chat, you snuck that word beta in so many times. I stand by. My actions were not beta. If you missed it, I had a whole saga with a guy who was clearly scamming people in a CVS parking lot, but I didn't mind it. I wasn't mad about it. Gil Rodriguez, Sam, you're so great, says Mary Jean. Mary, I think you're great. And if there's any more of Gil's money that you'd like to give me, Mary, I would appreciate it. It's great to hear from you, Mary. Reed Rothschild, look up Bruins from the 70s. I think it's in NYC that they went into the stands. Milbury beat a fan with the fan's own shoe. Good. I'm sure he had it coming. James Malaspino, I got my name mentioned twice without spending a dime. You earned this, you thug. Go buy a trigger flag. You know what they're saying when they say thug. It's really gross. Really gross. Reed Rothschild, any update on the Jim and Sam contract situation? I'm legit going to cancel Sirius if you guys are gone. I'll follow you guys if you go. No update. No update whatsoever. I don't know what the deal is. We still got some time, though. You know. This is like that Mattel crowdfunding thing. We'll probably get there at the very end. We'll get the numbers up at the very end of the thing. That's what we're probably going to do. I think that I will talk to you guys a little bit about FBoy Island. So while we're talking about shows that are on right now, FBoy Island is on. It's Nikki Glazer's new show, and God bless Nikki Glazer for getting that bag. I saw in the credits that it said she was a producer too, so she's getting that money. But maybe I won't. Yeah. So I only watched one episode. I'm going to be honest with you. I only watched one episode because they made a mistake, in my opinion. I watched this episode because of this guy. I think, what's his name? Gerald? Does it say his name on his? Oh, Garrett. That's right. Garrett. And you know it's a problem because it's Garrett spelled like Garratt. A way I've never heard of. Yeah, Garratt. Garrett. Garrett to me is one of the most fascinating people. Like, I would watch a show that Garrett was on every day of the week. Like, Garrett is, to me, and it's underrated because I don't really think people are watching this show like that, but Garrett is like Big Ed. Just because he's such a weird guy. I knew I was onto something. When basically the premise of this FBoy Island show, it's on HBO Max. I think everything is every episode is up there now. It's like they bring a boat of guys onto an island. There's like 18 of them or whatever, and 9 of them are good guys and 9 of them are F-boys. And then there's 3 women, and the women have to choose a partner. But they don't know if the guy is a good guy, a nice guy, or an F-boy, which stands for fuck boy. And so this guy Garrett is on, and he's trying to get one of the ladies' attention. Just watch him.
Everyone wants to say Nikita.
Nakia was my number one choice. When I first saw Nakia walk out, I was like, wow, she walks with grace. She's got a beautiful smile. She's very comfortable with herself.
I mean... Yo, did you see that girl? Did you see the grace that she was walking with? Ooh, yeah. Walks with grace. Like, that's the first thing. When I first noticed Nakia, I was like, that's my girl. She walked with grace, for one thing. I've been looking for a girl like that for a long time. Oh, okay, Garrett. That sounds good.
Really like. conversation. My name is Garrett, and real talk, I would love to have 2 minutes with you.
Garrett.
Like, it's so clear when you're watching that he didn't have his sentence formed in his head before he leaned in to whisper in her ear. My name's Garrett. Like, real talk? Oh, okay. All right. We're going to put this aside for a second. We're going to have some real talk now. None of this fake stuff. None of this polite stuff. This is going to be some real talk. I'd love to spend 2 minutes with you. Oh, man. Thanks for the real talk.
And real talk, I would love to have 2 minutes with you.
Like, what is that? And look at the look. I mean, I'm so fascinated by this guy. And real talk, I would love to have 2 minutes with you. That's where you were going? Like, if somebody was like, real talk, I would love. Like, are you going to ask me to marry you right now? To speak with you for 2 minutes. Like, all right. I mean, I guess that didn't require all this. And then, see this look? See this weird look on his face? Like, he's got this look. Like, I just told her something that no man has ever told her. Like, he has this look like he's this amazing wordsmith. Like, I don't think she's ever heard anything like this before. I would love to see how she's going to respond to this. Meanwhile, the whole premise of the show, at least this part of it, is that guys get to have, like, solo time with the girls. Like, all the girls, they're talking to guys alone for 2 minutes. Like, everybody, what? Real talk? I would love to have 2 minutes of your time. What do you got to say to that? Like, ooh, I didn't see that coming.
Garrett just walks up to me and Colin. He was making me feel uncomfortable. I need a double shot.
Can you imagine that? Like, you're such a weirdo that all you do is go up to somebody and say, hello, I'd like to have 2 minutes of your time. And they're like, that is an uncomfortable guy. That guy makes me feel weird. And you're like, oh, I thought these were really the basics. Like, no. You're a big weirdo.
Garrett came on very strong. I'm not quite sure why he's acting like I'm his girlfriend already. It's a little weird.
A little weird.
All right. Go ahead. It's okay. I'll cheers with you later.
He goes, I'll cheers with you later. And she just starts looking in the other direction. Like, I don't know if he thought I'll cheers with you later was like, okay, don't worry. You're not going to humiliate me. I'll cheers with you later. Not I'll share a drink with you later. Not, oh, no, we'll catch up later. Not, first of all, like she's the one picking the guy. There's a ton of guys and one girl. And he's like, I'm going to cheers with you later. Well, do I have a choice in the matter? And what does cheers with mean? Would you like to go out and have a cheers? Like, what? Who says that? No, so me and this girl were cheersing the other night. Cheersing? Yeah. Where you say cheers? Yeah. I like to cheers with people. Don't worry. I'll cheers with you later. And watch her. Watch her as like, because he's waiting. Okay, you can see him right there. See, he's waiting because he knows he's got the cheers line. He's ready to tell her that he's going to cheers with her later. So he's waiting right there with that weird look in his eyes going, ho. Wait till I drop this one on her. And halfway through his sentence, she just turns and starts looking at somebody else. I have never seen a more clear indication of, please don't talk to me.
Okay. Cheers with you later.
Oh, Garrett Power is definitely an F-boy. He just tries too hard. None of his game works.
Yeah, I don't think an F-boy is like, first of all, the fact that they have all these adults on television going like, he's an F-boy. Like, it's so weird. But, yeah, I don't think that it's an F-boy move to be like out of your mind. Weirdo. He's a weirdo is what he is.
He literally has no game.
Okay.
It's okay. I'll cheers with you.
He said it again. It's my favorite part of the whole show. He's so attached to it. I want to play the original one. Oh, I love that. Real talk. I'd love to have 2 seconds with you. I'm going to cheers with you later. I get a shirt. I'm going to cheers with you later.
So bad. All right.
Go ahead. It's okay. I'll cheers with you later.
Oh, Garrett Power is definitely an F-boy. He just tries too hard. None of his game works. Like, he literally has no game.
Okay.
It's okay. I'll cheers with you later.
Look, he's barely even moving his mouth. He's like right in her ear. I'm going to cheers with you later. Listen to me right now. You don't have to look at me. You don't have to acknowledge me. But I'm going to cheers with you later. I'm going to have a drink, and you're going to have a drink. And then we're going to cling our drinks together. We're going to say the word cheers. Later. You. That might be the new outro to the show. I think I might be giving up 5 styluses. I'm going to cheers with you later. That might be the new outro. Thanks for watching Sam Roberts Now. I'll cheers with you later. I'm going to cheers with you later. I'm going to cheers with you. Oh, Reed Rothschild. He's standing right behind her. I mean, he's on top of her. I'm going to cheers with you later. You hear me? I'm going to cheers with you later. Yeah. All right. We can cheers later. Fine. It's like the 3rd time you've said it. Maybe I'm not going to get too... Real talk? Real talk. Maybe I won't get 2 minutes of your time. I'm going to cheers with you later. Oh, I can't get enough of him. I can't get enough of him. Well, that's why I don't watch the show, because there's not enough Garrett. If it was just all Garrett all the time, I'd be watching every episode. Look at this guy that called him an F-boy because he has no game. Later on in the episode, one of the other guys spreads a rumor. The guy that just said Garrett was an F-boy, well, another contestant told one of the girls that guy is an F-boy. And he's annoyed about it. And he doesn't know who told it. But one of the girls goes, hey, I heard you were an F-boy. And the guy's like, no. And they're like, well, that's what somebody said, but I can't tell you who it was. And he's like, it's probably that creepy son of a bitch Garrett that said it. So he confronts Garrett. And it was, maybe kind of comforting to know that Garrett's creepiness is not just something reserved for the opposite sex. Garrett is a pan creep. Like, he's creepy to whoever. Watch him try to hash it out with this gentleman who thinks that Garrett's the one that spread the rumor that this gentleman was an F-boy, even though it wasn't Garrett. It really wasn't Garrett. I mean, already, I'm seeing it. Look how long Garrett holds his hand for. Look at him, okay? He's walking by. Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, look, instead of just dapping up, look at him. Look how he's holding. He's holding. You see? You see how he's like, I don't know if you could see from where you're, but he's just like holding on to his hand. This guy is trying to ignore Garrett. This guy is mad at Garrett because he thinks Garrett was spreading rumors about him. Garrett wasn't, but he thinks he was. And so Garrett is responding to this negative energy by being like, maybe if I give you some affection, you'll love me. And so he's just holding this dude's hand as the dude tries to walk by.
Yeah, I'm all right.
That's the guy. This is the guy. This is the guy who spread the rumor. It was not Garrett. That guy spread the rumor, not Garrett.
What's going on? So, about my date today, I guess there's somebody around here talking shit.
I'm trying to figure it out.
How come you can say talking shit, but you can't say fuckboy? Heard there was somebody around here talking S, saying that I was an F-boy, and I was like, GD. Don't talk S about me and say I'm an F-boy. I mean, what the H? A-hole.
I didn't talk to her at all.
But I'm just saying, are you sure?
I never said anything negative. I never had a chance because I had maybe 30 seconds with her.
That's actually a great defense. He's like, I wasn't able to say anything negative about you because she never cheersed with me. There was supposed to be a cheersing. I told her I was really planning on cheersing with her later, and we never did get that cheers that was promised to me. So, wasn't me. It wasn't me this time.
like this. I feel like
Look at me.
I'm looking at you.
I didn't talk to CJ. Maybe your date didn't go the way you wanted it to. Dude, I don't need to
All right.
try to step on your toes.
You just
I
say
will
you
literally
was-
let you do that yourself.
Oh.
I don't look at you as a threat.
Then you don't even need to talk to me.
But I think about you as a snake.
That's a
He might
bummer.
be 10 years younger, and he should be intimidated by someone like me.
Man, I
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. Here's the thing. I would imagine everybody's very intimidated by me. Like, that's like that mentality where you're like, I don't know, this person didn't seem to like me very much. I guess they're just jealous of all my success and my sparkling personality. I don't know.
don't trust you. I don't trust you.
You don't have to.
Okay. All right, bro. It's
Yeah.
good talking to you.
Hey,
You good,
no,
bro?
heck, give me some love. Okay? All right.
He needs love so bad. Poor Garrett. He just needs love. Hey, give me some love. Look how bad he wants to he wants to get dapped up a little bit. That's all. He just really wants to get dapped up. See, look at that. He's going right there. He's like, okay, you think I'm a snake? I'm not. Can you please hold my hand again? Can you please hold on to my hand a little bit?
It's good
Yeah.
talking to you.
Hey.
Okay, we didn't shake hands down
No,
there.
heck, give me some love.
Come on, give me
Okay?
some love.
All right. It's all good, dude.
He's like, no. Okay, no, we're still friends. It's all good. It's all good. Like, if somebody was like that to me, like humiliated me and would not dap me up no matter how badly I tried, I wouldn't be like, well, we're still friends no matter what. And let me tell you something, too. I know you think I'm a snake, but I'm going to prove you wrong. We're going to cheers in a little bit. We're going to cheers in a while, and you're going to see how wrong you were about me. So, the reason why I stopped watching this show is because, like, a bunch of idiots, and this is why you need producers on these shows. This is why these shows, if this show is fake, which it probably is, then they totally screwed up. And if it's not, then it should have been, because they screwed up. They eliminated Garrett on the first episode. I would have watched the whole season for Garrett's foibles, but they eliminated him on the first episode. But there was still another moment where Garrett let his soul shine through. At the end, it was down to 3, and somehow the charming Garrett was one of them. And he decided to prove that he wasn't a weirdo at all.
I did not get a chance to really get to know you, although I wanted to give you a chance. Oh, you kind of came off very, very...
I believe that there was a conversation about me cheersing with you that you did not take me up on. That feels like that was in your court. I was on top of you, breathing into your ear, and on the back of your neck for a full conversation, if you recall.
strong.
I knew I was gonna get a chance to at least say something to you, and I wrote you a poem.
That's not a romantic, oh my God. Look at this guy. He's laughing at him. I wrote you a poem. Like, this is a TV show you met this morning.
Yeah.
Nikki.
What the fuck is he doing?
Oh my gosh, yo.
When we fall off the path at times, it leads us to strengthen and sharpen our minds. Some of these journeys we must take alone to find what we search for in a place that's unknown. On the other side, it's calm and it's warm, because when we find love, we're no longer a storm.
What?
Garrett Powers.
Garrett Powers, he signed it himself. He's put his own name at the end of it. Oh, I was wondering who did that. That was an original? Oh, well, cheers to that.
I did not get a chance to really get to know
We
you.
went back to the beginning. I don't know why.
We're no longer a storm. Garrett Powers.
Garrett Powers. Oh, my God. You know what he's doing? He's walking over to her to give her the poem. Because he's assuming that she wants to keep his written copy of the poem. Oh, my God. So, yeah, Garrett somehow, even after the poem, ended up going home. And it's just, once they eliminate Garrett, it just wasn't something I could get behind anymore. We had different visions for what that show should be, quite frankly. my thought was very Garrett Powers heavy. I feel like if HBO Max is looking at that, if anybody needs a spin-off of any reality show, it's Garrett Powers. 10 times out of 10. All right, we got some more super chats in before we take off. Richard Jones says this is fake. Yeah, it's fake. But I mean, this guy is still making his decisions. There's nothing fake about I'll cheers with you later. And I'm sure that there was a producer that, like, but most of the time, like, if I was on a reality show and a producer came to me and they were like, you just write a poem for the girl at the end, I'd be like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll look like an asshole on TV. So, I mean, if a producer goes to you and says, like, you should write a poem, and you're like, yeah, that's a great idea, it still, I mean, has the same effect. Like, you're still that guy. Let me go back up to where I was. Nathan Gerald, thank you very much. James Malaspino, Tigger flag, not trigger. This thug can't read. Yes, you were referencing the Tigger flag story from earlier this week. Love it. Nathan Gerald, do you have any interest in seeing Free Guy or No Time to Die at the theater? I don't know what No Time to Die is. I don't think I'm going to see Free Guy. No Time to Die? Oh, James Bond? No, I'm not going to see either of those two movies. I've missed so many theater movies. Those two, one of those two are not going to drag me back. I'm going to be back soon, though. It's tough when you got kids, too. Reed Rothschild, he's on FBoy Island, and he's coming off as creepy. That is elite level creepy. He's a future serial killer. Reed Rothschild, guaranteed he's on the spectrum. Dragon Reborn. Sam, I think you would enjoy Tattoo Us, a UK show. I'll give it a look-see. And Stratopaster, All or Nothing, the upcoming doc about the Toronto Maple Leafs, will be the definitive NHL doc. It's the last dance of misery and despair. All right. Well, I mean, I'll take a look at it, but I don't know if a multi-part NHL documentary is going to be for me. And Rabdi Dab, thank you for supporting the show. And thank all you guys for supporting the show and being a part of tonight's fun. We've made almost enough back in Super Chats for me to buy another one of those wrestling rings. Where are we at? Have we gotten to 8,000? We got to get to 8,000 buys so we can get the ring aprons on my ring. Let's see. 8,000. Ooh, 7,758. Not bad. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for being here. I'll have a cheers with you later. Have a good night.